What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. We're going to talk about the short-term stuff going on with Bitcoin, projecting out, what's to come over the coming days, coming week or weeks, right? Stuff like that. And then we're going to go over the long-term as well after we wrap up the short-term stuff. In the long term, I want to go over things like, talking about specifically pertaining to this consolidation phase that we've been in since March, since we topped off here. But I mean, technically, you've been in it since February, right? But really, March is when we topped off. We've been in a downtrend, right, with lower highs and lower lows, a downtrend, a bit of like a falling wedge, if you will. How long will it go on for? Is this the low? All those questions and more will be answered, hopefully, if you stay tuned and watch the whole video. So hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get started. Let's talk about the short term. I think the best way to talk about the short term is to first look at the 4 hour, then we can move on to the daily. And then once we get on to the weekly and monthly, we'll talk about that longer term stuff. Looking at the 4 hour here, I do like the RSI. I do like the way it's postured. It is neutral. Let's be completely fair. It is neutral, but it's got more of a bullish tendency to it. Rejecting the bearish area of control several times. Rejecting the bullish area of control as well, but at least you're getting overbought, or at least to the overbought zone. We're here not even getting toward the oversold zone. Definitely in a kind of state of limbo, right? I know I was gone for the past few days for personal reasons. We're just going to leave it at that. But I'm back. Everything's good, right? But I had to take some time off. So, but the past few days that I was gone doesn't look like it really mattered too much, right? With the exception of yesterday's little moment of excitement, little brief period, right? I guess not too brief, but let's see. It was really like this hour that pumped, right? And then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So about half a day, really. Half a day until we drop back down with more volume than we did coming up. But we still have a higher low. The 1 hour, I don't know if I want to look at the 1 hour. The 1 hour does look bearish at the moment, but it can start looking bullish. And really, actually, I think it actually does look bullish overall because you got overbought. You won't even get oversold. So I like that. But overall, it's pretty neutral, right? Very, very neutral. Aside from this, when you were like living in the overbought or oversold zone, that's when it was bearish. Oops. If we go back to that and just like kind of compare price, yeah, like look at that, right? You can see the difference, right? In the RSI, a lot of readings in the oversold zone here. It can't even really maintain readings above the 60, right? In this whole little gap here. And look at what you're doing in the price. You're just tanking straight down, right? We're here, we're moving sideways, and you can see here we're not really maintaining prices or readings above the 60 for too long or below the 40 for too long. Are getting overbought and oversold at times, of course, whatever, but nothing that's, whenever it comes to being oversold or overbought, nothing that's maintained as long as this, right? You want to see those maintained moves, especially on the shorter term time frames, if you want that kind of like go ahead for continuation, stuff like that. But bouncing off the oversold zone with that in mind is kind of a nice notion that yes, we are, while being neutral, we might not be going lower, at least immediately. Looking at the 4 hour time frame here, I do like the way it's postured. It is neutral again, but kind of postured in the position that I would think it does go up. You bounced off your 40, went to your overbought zone, rejected that, came down here, and it kind of looks like a higher low amidst higher lows. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that you do continue to move upwards. But don't be surprised, guys. I kind of am expecting that we might see some kind of crash, like flash crash, real quick, right? More than what we saw over the last 24 hours before we start moving up, before the end of this little phase here, this little consolidation phase here. I think we will get one more crash down, potentially below 55K, maybe even below 54K, something like that. It could go below this low daily close here. I do not believe that we're going to go below this low. And that's a perfect segue into the long-term analysis that we're about to go into. So, again, we could go below this line. I don't think we'll go below this line. We might not even enter this space at all. But something that's lower than this low here, it wouldn't throw me off. If we don't do that, cool. Like whatever. We don't have to. Either way, whether we get some kind of like flash crash down and then rip, or we just continue to move sideways and like slowly climb. Come on, man. My mouse is not working. Come on. Slowly like move sideways and then climb and then rip. Either way, I think the upside is coming soon, relatively speaking, right? But over the short term, over the very immediate term, the fact that we've just been moving sideways like this, it kind of makes me think that we would need a little correction to shake some people out, get those long orders to get what's it, stop hunted, right? Get those stop orders hit, stop limits hit, whatever, and then reverse to the upside, right? Have some people going short, get that momentum to the upside, have that fuel to the fire. Shorts are definitely nice. for some upside momentum. People think that you need more longs for the price to go up. Not everybody, right? Some people, I would say, like beginner people, they think of it that way, right? You need more longs for the price to go up than you do shorts for the price to go up. But really, it's the other way around. You need more shorts for the price to continue to go higher. Shorts, when it comes to margin trading or leverage trading, most of the time feed upside potential. And then longs, vice versa, would feed the downside potential, right? And as Eric Crown, if you guys know who Eric Crown is, I like Eric Crown, man. I like him as an analyst in the space. He used to say this all the time. I haven't heard him say it in a while, but he does. He used to say this all the time. Most markets are meant to take most money from most people most of the time, or something like that's what he said. So, in respects or in that aspect, if most people are supposed to lose most money most of the time in most markets, right? Again, it's a rule of generalities, not certainty, not always, but that would just imply that if you're short, well, likely that's going to fuel the fire to the upside. If most people are long, then likely that's going to feed the fire to the downside, because markets are designed to take money away from people, essentially, right? Because most people don't make money trading. Most people do lose money trading. Investing for the long term, I think a lot of people can make money, but people get caught up in greed and their emotions and stuff. They make those stupid short-term plays, and that's where here on this channel, and hopefully in whatever community you're in crypto, you're in the right communities that advocate for the long-term holds, right? That hodl kind of base mentality that we have in crypto, that not everybody abides to, but the ones that do abide to it, they see the value in it, right? And it's really important for moments like this, right? Like, let's say you bought up here. We're going to get to the long-term stuff in a second. You bought it like one of the worst moments throughout the cycle, right? Buying like the literal high or any of these high points, right? When you think it's going to go up higher, and you just held. You didn't sell. You could have, but you didn't, and you just held. You could have sold down here and panic sold, but you didn't. So that's a good move, but you definitely didn't make the right move by buying at the highs, right? And you didn't sell. It might feel dumb right now, but the longer that you hold, as time goes on, as it continues, eventually we'll be at a price point where people are going to be like, dude, you bought below 80K? You bought below $75,000? You're a genius. And you might feel dumb right now. But genuinely speaking, that's kind of like the full circle of this thought of holding for the long term is that you don't need to be smart to look smart, right? As long as you're holding. And that's the difference between people who have the story, right? They tell all their friends, I just made my first Bitcoin purchase, right? And then the price goes sky high and they're like, oh, dude, didn't you buy Bitcoin back at 70K? And they're like, yeah, but I sold it. And the difference between those people and the people who are like, yeah, I did buy Bitcoin at that price. And no, I did not sell it. And no, I'm not, amidst other cryptos and stuff. But I'm getting carried away here, right? I'm digressing. So let's get back to the technical analysis here. On the daily RSI, I do like how, I don't know if I like how neutral it is, but I do like how we bounced off the 40. And we're not rejecting this 50 area. At first, for a little bit here, when we were getting down to this area, it was looking a little bit bad, but right now I'm okay with it. I would like to see us grow more, but it doesn't scream that we need to move up immediately. Just sooner than later, we probably will see some kind of reaction. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some kind of like flash crash down and then a move up. We very well could close below this level. If not, just see like a quick wick down there and then close up higher, something like that. But I wouldn't expect anything major, and I'm certainly not expecting that we go lower than this low, and I'll kind of go over why I think that is. So let's move into the that perfect segue that I alluded to before I got distracted there. Let's do that. So one last time, guys, hit that like button and subscribe if you like segues. let's get on here. So in order to talk about this portion, I want to go over two things. I want to go over two aspects primarily, and we're going to use. Actually, I think we can use the monthly for this. We don't need the weekly. This will be easier on the eyes. Fib and then time-based aspects on this here. So from the lows prior to the halving to the high prior to the halving, right, or relative to the halving, we're going to measure those fibs, okay? And I'll show you what I mean. If you're like hearing those words and you don't understand what I'm saying, just bear with me. I promise you it'll make sense, okay? So from the low prior to the halving, right, 2012. In November, it was November 28th, 2012, basically December, but November 28th, 2012, that was our very first halving cycle for Bitcoin. It was this month here, okay? So the low before this would have been here, right? Discernible. You can tell. Obviously, this was a low, tomato, whatever, but if you're looking at this month, the discernible low that you can see in the chart is the bear market low. Of course it is. So there you go. The discernible high of this time as well is right here, just before the halving, 2 months before, or 3 months before, whatever. And you can see here that we pulled back to the 236. That was as low as we pulled back to, right? And if you don't believe it, you know, we can look at the weekly. Maybe it will actually probably depict it a little bit better. Yeah, you know, you actually went a little bit through the 236 to be completely fair, right? Right here on this first attempt. But at least interacted with it. You didn't hit your 382, but you interacted with the 236. The second time you got very close to the 236, didn't quite reach it, but still that 236 area nonetheless, okay? Low to high prior to the halving, right? The next halving period was, I believe, July 9th, or was it July? It was in 2016, not July 16th. So July 9th, 2016 would have been around here, right? So if we take this discernible low to this discernible high, right, the halving would have been this week here. So that's the discernible high. That's the discernible low from there, from that low to this high here. You can see again, we even pierced the 236 again, but kind of like a double tap on that 236, holding it as support, not closing below there, and then moving on up, right? We do this again, and we take our discernible low. This time it's not the bear cycle low, actually. It's the COVID crash low, because our next halving cycle was in May 11th, I believe, of 2020. From the COVID crash low to the discernible high before the halving, not after. I mean, even after the halving, but before the halving. Let's see where it would have been. It would have been this week here. So right there. So that's our discernible high right there, right? Low to high. You can see again, pulled back, touched the 236 right there, right? And if that's not good enough for you, I mean, I guess you could put it to this high, but that's after the halving. It kind of goes against what we're saying. You didn't even hit the 236 there. You could go to this high. That's more of a discernible high to me, but you reached for the 236, but you didn't quite get there. But, you know, however you want to slice it, really, if you put it here, you can see you did find support right on that 236 there before moving higher, right? Just kind of running with that notion there. Not going to the 382, right? Maybe reaching for it at certain times, but not going to it. Now we go to the piece de resistance. I don't know how to actually say that word. I just tried to go for it in the way that I think it sounds, but I don't know. And I'm pretty sure that's French, and I used a Spanish accent or a Mexican accent. But anyways, shout out to my hombros. No, my goodness, I'm forgetting the word for brother right now. How am I forgetting? Oh my God, what is the word? I feel it's not. Hombro is arm. Hermano, mis hermanos del sur, my friend, my brothers of the south. God damn, man. $15,473 was our bear cycle low, right? Discernible low to our discernible high before the halving, right? Discernible low to discernible high. We found support, surprise, surprise, right at the 236. Now, if we were to go lower than this low, I suppose it's not too crazy, right? We have had multiple interactions with the 236 before in prior cycles. The last cycle we didn't have multiple interactions. It was just that one interaction. But certainly nothing that would reach down to that 382 down at 40,000. So I think it's safe to say that prices sub 40K, anybody calling for that, it'd be a bit out of touch with what we've seen Bitcoin do historically speaking, at least based off of this metric alone, right? And maybe that's not the discernible low. Maybe the argument could be made for this to be the discernible low. Either way, you've had multiple interactions with the 236 holding it, and you did reach for the 382. This was the lowest that you've ever gotten, but still not quite reaching it. And in which case, that would be an even stronger case for this to be the low than the prior low. But, you know, however you want to measure it from whichever low, I think it still works for the kind of story that I'm painting, right? And now here's the one that gets me a little bit excited for next month and the months to follow. Okay, this is the time-based kind of analysis that we're going off of. Hit that like button, subscribe if you like the video so far. Leave a comment if I'm forgetting something or doing something wrong, or there's something that I should mention, or if you just have any kind of feedback that could help the channel grow or help me grow as a person or as an analyst, whatever. You know, I'm always happy to get feedback. Let's do this part though. So on the monthly here, from the first halving, which this one's kind of irrelevant, I would say, to this analysis, but we're going to use it nonetheless. And we can go off it in a kind of different spectrum too. But from the first halving, which is in November, we didn't really move up until 2 months later, right? 2 months later, that's when we broke out and we moved higher, right? From the relative high, we didn't move higher until 2 months later, right? You could also measure this in a sense and say that we were moving sideways. So I was measuring from the halving how long we moved sideways before we moved up and broke out to new cycle highs, okay? Not new all-time highs, new cycle highs. In this case, in our current cycle, it'll be one and the same, new cycle highs and new all-time highs. But back here, And to be completely fair, we moved sideways more or less for about 5 months, actually, in total. But I do want to pertain it strictly from the halving and on, not just from like how long we were moving sideways. So that was our first halving, November of 2012, right? Next halving was July of 2016. Again, here's our high. We did not break it until this month here. So July 2016, broke it on this month. That was 5 months. 5 months right there. And essentially, if we included that month again, that'd be about 6 months that we moved sideways. We're on the 6th month, maybe 5 months we moved sideways, 6 months that we moved up, right? And I want to see, yes, that would have been, so yeah, 4 months that we moved sideways, 5 months that we moved up, just a month off. But again, this is prior to the halving versus right at the halving, so I want to keep it there. But 2 months, 5 months here, halving month to when we broke out above the current cycle high. Okay. Next halving was May 2010, May 10th, 2020. So May right here, halving month. We did not move above the high prior to the halving, right, which would have been this high here, until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months later, right? That was whenever we got above this high, and it was oh so slightly above this high, wasn't it? But it was technically above it. I'll put that line right there for you. Just a little bit, but it was technically above it 5 months later. Again, right? 5 months, 5 months. And then the first one, again, which I was saying was irrelevant, 2 months, but at the same time, it could be relevant in the sense that, 5 months, kind of, whatever, but who knows, whatever. I could cherry pick all kinds of things and make it look the way I want to, but let's just be real and keep it with strict rules here, measuring from the halving month, okay? So we've got 5 months 2 times, 2 months 1 time. Well, the 2 months one is thrown out the window. Again, this is why I'm saying it's irrelevant, because in April, that was our halving, right? April 20th, it has already been 4 months. Okay, we're on our 4th month now since the halving. It's August. April's the 4th month of the year. August is the 8th month of the year. That's 4 months. Of course it is. 4 months here. So we're right on schedule. We're right on schedule. We are not in any kind of dismay or negative aspect in the bull market at all. We still have higher lows going for us. We're consolidating right now. We're not doing any, we're interacting with our 236, finding support off of it, right? Depending on how you look at it, it could be multiple times reaching for the 382 on this last one, or if you take it from this low to that high, you are actually just reaching to that 236 just below it here, right? However you want to measure it, whether it's from here or from there, either way, it kind of meets the criteria that we're going off of with the fibs. And this also meets the criteria, or it's yet to meet the criteria that we're looking for based off of prior bull cycles, but we still have time to meet that criteria, right? And it would really come into effect next month, if not in October, right? I would say, based off of what we've seen so far, we could expect to see new all-time highs, right? Again, the high prior to the halving, new all-time highs as early as next month in September. We've seen these periods, and this goes back, man, you can check my videos from April. I'm not going to be one of those guys who says one thing at one point in time and then pretends like he was right on it. I was calling for this exact thing back in April. Since then, I've wish-washy throughout all of it. You can check my videos month to month and see that I had not called for this exact scenario to play out. But prior to the halving, I really had talked about this a lot, this exact scenario, comparing it to the prior halving cycles. And again, I'm not addressing that right now to say that I'm right or that I'm wrong. Who cares about that? I'm more addressing that just to say that this is something that we've talked about before. This is something that's been on our radar, and it's something that I think we should put on our radar right now and definitely pay attention to, because we're getting to that crunch point, right? We are getting to that point where 5 months is upon us, and that'll be next month, right after the halving. So this could be, and historically speaking, 2 to 5 months has been as long as it takes to see new cycle highs prior to or post halving. This is the first time that we've seen new all-time highs prior to the halving. So could it take longer to move up there? It's possible. But every single bull cycle, and we can go through, this is kind of a different, I'm just going to speed through this one. Every single bull cycle has had a lag phase, right? We measured this a few times. It took 5 months before you broke out and moved up. Even here, right? We weren't even done with the bull cycle yet, but from the high here until you really started breaking out, you didn't break out above this high, but you broke out above the closing zone here. So I'm going to call it, that was 6 months, right? About a half year, both times. Bull cycle here, absolutely undeniable that it started on this month here, or maybe, I guess it started here, right? We were done with the crab market here, but it was a neutral month there. So really it started here. But we had a phase here where we moved sideways for 6 months again, and then we moved up. And then we had a phase here where we moved sideways for 6 months again, and then we moved up. And even then, we still back tested a couple times, right? COVID, right? The COVID crisis, crash, whatever, all kinds of things, economic mishaps in the world during this last cycle, 9 months, actually from high to low. You could say, I wouldn't say that we were moving sideways so much as we were moving down, but we can say the bull market was on pause, at least this time, for about 16 months, right? I don't think it's going to be 16 months this time that we're on pause. We grew a lot faster and at an uncontrolled rate last time. It was kind of a parabolic behavioral shape, right? And that's what caused this, I think, little hump, this little drought in the bull market. We don't really have that now. We've got a lot more structure, right? Moved up, consolidated for months, moved up, consolidated for months, right? It's a lot healthier. But in that kind of same idea, from this month here to here, whenever we broke out, it was 7 months this time, right? It took 7 months. From this month here, when we started consolidating, to where we are now, we're in our 5th month. So again, leaning toward that idea, what we've seen right prior to this this one here, we've seen 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, and 5 months. Okay, so 1 5 month, 3 6 months, and 1 7 month period where we've seen lulls in the bull market before continuing to grow. This is all, I'm going over this to just say this is normal. This is to calm the nerves, hopefully, of anybody wondering if the bull cycle's done, because it's absolutely not done. It's just getting started. We have at least another leg to go. And if people hear that and they're like, just one more leg, that's terrible. That's so sad. No, it's not sad at all, because look at this leg, right? This was our last leg of the last cycle. And this was a very weak cycle, mind you, right? This was the weakest cycle we had so far. And of course, they get weaker and weaker, but we had a 16-month drought, right? We haven't seen that before, right? Or since, and hopefully not since. Right? Hopefully we don't go through a 16-month drought right now. We had like a mini bear cycle in the bull cycle last time. Hopefully we don't get that now. But even on this very, very weak cycle during very weak economic conditions around the world, the global economy was just in the shitter, man. Everything was experiencing really high rates of inflation. So there were multiple countries experiencing hyperinflation, Ukraine and war conflict, COVID, quantitative tightening, interest rates going up, right? That's what that means. All that stuff. If we took that last leg of the cycle, right, not even from the low, right? That wasn't even from the low. That was just from the low of the month where it broke out, which is probably not going to be this month. But let's just say we closed this month right here. Let's put that even a little bit lower. Let's say we come down a little bit in September, whatever. This is just a rough guess, but it's going to be off by a little bit. Even if we perform as well as we did last cycle during all these crazy things going on in the world, that would put us up at 357,000 by March of 2025. Again, from September to March, because that's time and length, because I just drew it, and it's a very squiggly line, I get it, but it lines up right with that high there, and it lines up right with this low here, right? Time and length. You put it back here, and I'm even putting it a little bit lower, right? That would still give us enough time, even if I don't think we're going to go all the way down that low, lower than the price that we're at now, though, potentially, right? That would still give us a price above $300,000, right? And I think we'll actually see greater growth. I think we will see a more phenomenal cycle than last cycle. And the reason why, and I've said this, all the people who've watched the channel for the past year and a half, thank you guys for being here. You already know what I'm going to say, or if you don't, let me refresh your memory. The DXY, which is the US dollar currency index, it's not based on every currency in the world. I thought it was at one point, but it's based on like a basket of currencies, just like 6 or 7 of them, something like that. Let's actually look it up right now. I know it's like the Swiss franc and not the Chinese yen or yuan, but the Japanese yen, yeah. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, the euro, British pound, pretty big currencies, right, around the world. Pretty big currencies. I think they should throw China's in there, but I don't know why they don't, but whatever. That's the DXY, US dollar index. This has a point, I promise, okay? Brief analysis of this. You can see phases, right? Since the low, since this bear market or downtrend, whatever you want to call it for the DXY, since the low here, you've had phases of expansion and then consolidation, and then expansion and then consolidation, and then expansion and then consolidation. Okay. Last cycle, beyond all the other things that I listed as to why it could have been a weak cycle, okay, we had the DXY expanding during that point in time. The last expansion phase, we started this low here, was in June of 2021. Okay, the dollar was not consolidating anymore. It was beginning its expansion cycle back in June of 2021 there, right? June of 2021 was right here in the Bitcoin bull cycle. So when we should have had our true last leg, when we should have shown strength and continued up, we couldn't. Why could we not? And I think you can throw all the world economic crisis and scenarios and all that stuff into the mix. Of course, it's there. But if you want to make it simple, this is the only bull market, especially toward the end of the bull market. This is the only finale of a bull market that we had that existed during the same point as the DXY expanding. Now, what's great about analyzing this, and what gives me the complete faith that we will see a larger and stronger move up than we did at our final phase of the last bull cycle, is that we don't have that expansion phase going on right now, and it's not going to happen this bull cycle. At least I wouldn't expect it to. And here's why I say that so confidently. From the low, expanded up, consolidated, right? So from here, we consolidated for 69 months. Great, that's great, right? Before, I mean, we can take it to the low, maybe, right? 69 months to that relative low before we really started that expansion phase. And maybe you didn't start it till here, 67, 69 months, whatever. We're not going to cherry pick it too much. This was your high, but I think it's safe to say, right, that you were in a consolidation phase that whole point in time. So really, here's your expansion phase, right? Just like Bitcoin's high was here, but your bull market ended over here, right? If we're looking at it, we're being objective. So let's take that into consideration. The high here to when you began your expansion phase was 75 months. So 67, 69, 75 months, whatever, right, before you began your expansion phase. That's a long period of time, right? I mean, 12 times 7 is 70. Why am I 84? 84. So it's not quite 7 years. 6 years, probably around here, right? Just over 6 years, yeah. Would that be right? 84 minus 12. Yeah, that would be just over 6 years there. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. And then that probably right around 6 years, but not quite 6 years. We have been consolidating now with the DXY for only 23 months. So if we were to put this out even at maybe it's less time this time. Maybe we have a shorter cycle. Maybe it's half the time. It's only 67. Let's throw that in half. Let's put 30. That would be what, 33 and a half. So let's just do 34. That'd be July of 2025, right? If we cut the shortest one in half of these consolidation phases for the DXY, 34 months is how long. Again, I don't think it'll take that long. I think it'll take longer than that. But let's just be pessimistic and say 34 months. You guys, we're not going to expand until months from now, like nearly a year from now, and likely beyond that. It's probably not going to be until, if we really look at it objectively, probably until 2028 or later. Okay, we're going to be in this consolidation phase for a while. Okay, so I don't think we're going to have that in the way this time. Going back to the idea that I don't think this is necessarily a fair comparison, this growth here compared to the last cycle, because we're not going to have that expansion phase. We're not going to have that, right? And maybe I'm reaching for straws. Maybe I'm missing something. This wasn't like this was right here during that expansion phase of the DXY where this technically wasn't. But let's see, October 2020. October. That was still around the time that the DXY was at its low. It did continue to drop more, to be completely fair. But that's something else to kind of take into consideration too, is if the DXY is going down, that can help fuel the fire for BTC to go up. But, in which case too, maybe we don't just have one more leg up. Maybe it's not quite like this, and I wouldn't expect it to be. I'm not, by looking at this, I hope nobody got too overzealous and excited here by thinking that I'm saying that Bitcoin is going to go up to 300,000 by March of next year. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that we could have one leg left, and if we do, I would assume it'd be like this. It'd be a very phenomenal leg, but I think we probably have at least, maybe not at least one leg, but I think we do have probably 2 legs to go, right? We might grow like that, consolidate again, and then another nice rally to end the cycle. It'll probably take longer than that even, but I think we've got one more phase. It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's 5 legs. Maybe we do only have one leg up. It's hard to say. Hard to say. I'm not the best with Elliott wave, right? But I know that it doesn't go like past 5. You do 3s and 5s. That's kind of the norm. There's not 7s, at least to my knowledge. I mean, maybe there is. Again, correct me in the comments if anybody knows. But I love learning, man, and I love other people learning too, who read the comments and learn from people as well. But don't take things in the comments, you guys, as facts. Look it up yourself, do the research, and even then, like, be skeptical. Take everything with a grain of salt. But from the low point here, what was I just gonna do? All right. From low point here, actually, if we look at it on a weekly basis, it might be easier to see. I think it's discernible. Like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Our next leg would be our 5th leg, and generally speaking, you don't go more than 5. So if this were to be our last leg, I suppose the point could be made that we could see prices above not just 100,000, but 200, 300,000 by the end of Q1, or at least sometime in Q2 of next year. And if that were the case, then the bull market would likely be over, right? But I don't know if that's going to happen. I do personally expect that the bull market will end in October of 2025. Oops, a little bit later than that, October. That's my personal expectation, or at least somewhere around there. I would think after June, before December, somewhere in that time, specifically October is what I'm thinking. But we'll know that that's not the case if we're worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars by February to April, right? If we grow a lot over the next 6 to 9 months, let's see, I guess, yeah, 6 to 8 months, then we would know, right? Then we would know. But if we keep doing this little like consistent like move up, then consolidate, move up, consolidate, move up, consolidate, then there's hope, I think, for one more leg after that. So just kind of an idea. At least that's my opinion. None of this is financial advice, right? Why are you thinking it's going to end in October? I hear some of you saying. I can hear you asking, why do I think it's going to be ending in October? It's a great question. Let's go over that, right? It's good to ask questions. It's very good. I think everybody should ask questions, and you should not take anything without asking questions. You should absolutely ask questions, because if you just blindly take information in without critically thinking, then you are just a drone for social media and mainstream media to do what they want with, right? What did I just draw here? I drew from the month of the halving, which is November 2012, the first halving that we ever had, to the end of the cycle, which is the all-time high. That took 12 months. So that was a year after the halving, undeniably, that the cycle ended, right? Undeniable. And I think something worth mentioning here, we had 2 legs after the halving. I haven't looked at this before, so I wonder if that's going to continue. Just kind of a new thought, but let's see. Here, I guess we don't really have any legs. It's parabolic, so that might just go out the window. But 12 months after the halving, nonetheless. July 2016, sorry, there's noises going on. July 2016 to the end of the cycle, it took 17 months. So that was roughly a year and a half after the halving, right? So July 9th, 2016 was our second halving. 12 months, 17 months. That's how long it took to find the highs each time after the halving. And this time, this just looks like one leg. It's parabolic. So that 2-leg analysis goes out the window, whatever. Here, our next halving was in May 2020. We didn't find our cycle high this time until 18 months later. But it is worth noting that the bull market ended around 11 months later. Again, that kind of makes sense. It's hard to discern. If we're taking it, which I am literally measuring from the halving month to the cycle high, which both of these cycles was the end of the cycle as well, but this last cycle is different because this was the end of the cycle, but this was the cycle high, right? So 18 months, 11 months, there's a case to be made that we could reach for a year after the halving, maybe a year and a half after the halving. It's hard to say, but if we take both of those parameters in mind, and actually if we look, I guess you did have 2 legs technically, but I don't know if that's a leg up. That's just moving sideways. If we look at April of 2024, right? And we take that into consideration, 11 months at the lowest, which would put us in March of 2025. Hey, that number comes up again. Or 18 months at the most, right, for the all-time high. That put us right in October. So maybe it is a fair assessment to judge that the all-time high, the next Bitcoin all-time high that we see the end of this bull cycle, would come somewhere in this window. Somewhere at the end of Q1, or maybe right there in Q4 of next year. It is possible that we could go past that. It is possible we could end before that. It is completely possible. But based off of what we've seen, based off of not just off of these metrics alone, but other metrics too, right? You can measure from the lows to the highs and see how long that goes. I'm done with this video, so I'm not going to do that right now, but screw it, we're going to do it. Screw it, we're going to do it, man. From the low of the cycle to the high of the cycle, 35 bars. From the high of the cycle to the low of the cycle here, 28 bars. From the high of the cycle to the low of the cycle here, 24 bars. So getting longer each time. Again, the case could be made that not 35 bars, it's 28 bars. You know, it both ways, like, it makes sense. 28 makes sense because it lines up with this cycle. 35 makes sense because it's growing just as this one was growing, right? It makes sense either way. From a low point here to 28 months, right? If we were to go based off of that, 28 months just happens to put us right there in March again. And 35 months, you guessed it, puts us right in October again, right? So there are multiple things. And we can do one more. We'll do one more just for funsies, okay? Just for funsies, y'all. From an all-time high to an all-time high perspective, 29 months this time. From an all-time high to an all-time high perspective here, 49 months. From an all-time high to an all-time high perspective, actually this all-time high to all-time high, right? So not end of cycle, but all-time high. 47 months, 49 months, 29 months. These two seem to be right. This first cycle seems to be a bit inconsistent with the last two. So I don't know if it's good to assess our current cycle with this. And I mean, we could. 29 months in this case would put us not in March this time, but pretty damn close. We'd be in April of 2025, right in this window here. We go to 47, 49 months. Let's just see how long that takes. I mean, that'd put us a ways out, man. That'd put us in late 2026. I don't know if we're gonna get that. I don't personally expect that, right? Because also in combination with that, these oops, I didn't mean to do that. These bear cycles here, they ended. It took, let's see, like before you started the bull cycle, I should say, bear cycle and crab cycle. It took 21 months from the high, the prior high, to start your next cycle. Here, it took, I mean, really, your low ended here, but you didn't really start moving up until here. It took 16 months. Where here, oh, I measured from the low. Oh, I did that. Some of you are probably seeing that and being like, you're doing it wrong, C-Zar. High. Okay, this makes more sense. 29 months already out the window because we've grown. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, guys. Well, good. I don't have to go over what I was about to go over. So 47 months would actually put us right in October, whereas 49 months would take us a little bit past. I hope everybody catches where I messed up, right? Because I was measuring a second ago. I was measuring from the low, where all these ones I was measuring from high to high, high to high, high to high. That's where this went in. I measured from the low to high, and it threw off the whole thing. So I hope that didn't trip up too many people. But from high to high here, again, 29 months doesn't seem to line up. That doesn't mean that we can't end the cycle, but 20, it wouldn't even be, would it be 29 months? High, 73. It wouldn't even be 29 months. It would have been 28 months because this was the month that we actually found our high. And that would imply, if that was the cycle high, right? Which would mean that this was not only the weakest cycle by growth, but the shortest cycle by time for a bull cycle. And I don't think that's happening. I don't think that it'd be the only time that we found a all-time high, a cycle high before the halving. That doesn't make sense. The halving is the whole reason the bull market exists. Maybe not the whole reason, but it's a large attributing factor to the cyclical time frames of the Bitcoin and therefore the crypto bull cycles. But throwing that inconsistent cycle out the window, looking at the more consistent ones of 47 to 49 months, 47 months puts us right in October. Again, that one continues to show up. And then 49 months would take us to December. So again, we could go past. We could end sooner. Probably somewhere in between is what I would think. But we have a lot of time. We have a lot of time left in the cycle. And the main reason I didn't really care to do all these metrics that I've done tons of times just measuring these. What I really wanted to show you guys was the new kind of theory that, maybe not the new theory, just the new, not even new, a different look than I normally do. It's not new because I went over this in April, but just a different look than I normally do about the more intermediate stuff and like the cycle high stuff, just talking about how this consolidation phase, even though yes, it seems like we've been in this forever, and I get it, man, we're in the middle of the crypto bull market. 6 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in our 6th month now being in this consolidation phase. It's boring. I get it. I feel you. But the bull market is not forsaken. It is absolutely not forsaken. We have more to go. This is very normal We've seen these long periods of consolidation, even in phenomenal bull markets, right? Even in the weak ones, even in the very first one, which was, or maybe not the first one, but the second one, the very first cycle with a halving involved, right? We've seen this throughout every single cycle. Just maybe not the exact first one, right? The very first one. Even actually, look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 6th month, you moved up, even on the first one. So genuinely, every single bull cycle that's ever existed, we've had phases just like this. And it's normally not here, right? It's normally not here that most people get discouraged. It's normally not here that most people get discouraged. It's here that people give up on the bull market. And here is the end phase of this consolidation where we're about to run up. So don't be one of those people. Don't sell your bags of gold for cash. Take your cash and buy some bags of digital gold, man. It's about to be go time. I don't think it's going to be this month. I was hoping that August would be the month that we really started to break out of this. I really did have high hopes in the beginning of this month, right? Here was the first week of August. This is why I had high hopes, and I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of people in the crypto market that thought this, right? But it's been a bad month. It's not been a bad month. It just wasn't the month we were expecting, right? And in truthful honesty, just complete like literal analysis. I don't know what word to use. This is normal. This isn't anything that should throw anyone's head for a spin, right? This isn't, and I get it. Emotions run high whenever we were at one point at $73,000, and then at the lowest point we were at $49,000 over a period of 6 months. I get it. With time and price dropping, it's a test on your hodling abilities. But this is where we go back to what I was saying in kind of the beginning of the video, which is the people that hodl, that don't sell, they just buy more, or at the very least just hold their coins. They hold on for dear life, right? Or hold on, don't let go, whichever one hodl is. I've heard both. Most people say hold on for dear life, but I like hold on, don't let go. But then it'd be hodl G, so, or maybe hold on, don't lose. I don't know. That makes the most sense, because if it's hold on for dear life, it'd be hodful. If it's hold on, don't let go, it'd be hodl. So hold on, don't lose, maybe. I don't know. Hodl, hold, don't sell. The people that do that, they're always vindicated, right? As time goes on, they're always vindicated. Even in the bear cycles, right? You bought here and you never sold. You're already vindicated, man. You're already there, right? And you're about to be even more vindicated, right? You bought here and you never sold. Dude, if you bought Bitcoin at 13,000, if you bought it at 19,800, people, right? $19,800 was this cycle's high, but it was the last cycle's low, the last bear cycle's low, right? It only seems dumb in the moment, but if you hold on, if you don't get shaken out by these little moves, or not these little moves, but these intense moves over long periods of time, and if you not only hold, but you add to your stack during these, as time goes on, holding will only provide a win after win after win, cycle after cycle after cycle. And this cycle is no different than any other cycle in the sense that it will provide more winners that hold than winners that trade the short-term stuff, right? So I don't know, man. I'm getting too caught up. I feel like I lost my direction there for a second. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The video is going to come to an end. I don't have anything else to say. That was kind of the aspect of it, was really to just address that this is nothing to really be concerned about. We haven't done anything to break cycle structure. If anything, it's reinforcing what we've seen in previous cycles. So hopefully this shines a light on anybody who might be discouraged right now. This video is really meant for you, anybody who's feeling discouraged, who's feeling like they don't know what to do. I like you, C-Zar. I like you, name your favorite crypto YouTuber, but I just don't know if this cycle, if it's going to continue. I just don't feel good about it. If you're one of those people, I hope this video finds you. I hope that you hit the like button, and I hope that it gives you a new perspective, and that this is normal. This is fine. And this isn't one of those "this is normal, this is fine" memes where that dog is in the burning house, right? This is normal, this is fine. No, this is our houses. Not on fire. Our lawn is perfectly watered. The flowers are blooming in the garden. We've got hummingbirds coming around, right? There's a deer eating your cabbage outside. I don't know, but it's a peaceful harmonious environment that we're in, and really it's a perfect time to get in before the next step up is what I'm trying to say. So, and that's going to happen at any moment. Next month, based off of what we've gone over in this analysis, it really could be that next month is the month that we continue to grow. There's a case to be made against that it could be October, and we'll go over that right now real quick. I'm going to specifically go over every September. Not every September cryptos had, or Bitcoin's had, because that would just take a little bit more time, and we could do that. But I'm going to go over every September we've seen after the halving, okay? Every single September we've seen after the halving. So first halving was again in November, so we have to go a whole year out. September from there, still in the bull market right here. Very neutral month. Very, very neutral month. So not really a whole lot going on there, right? Very, very neutral month. We dropped a little bit, came back up, neutral. And I think Septembers are, a lot of people in crypto assume that Septembers are negative months. And there are more red Septembers than there are green Septembers. I'm not going to go over that now. I've done this video before. But Septembers, someone's kid's crying. Septembers are more often neutral months that don't close beyond like a 5 or 10% deficit to the downside or upside, right? They're very neutral months. But we have one here that's green actually, but also 0.64%. I would say it's a very neutral month. Okay, so that's the September after the halving right there. That's not my kid. My kid's asleep, man. Let's see. July 2016. That was the next halving. So the September after that, August, September, this one was actually a green month, okay? And granted, after we went down, but it was a green month. Still relatively neutral, though, 6%, okay? The next halving was in May. The September that followed there was a red month, 7.5%, the greatest percentage we've seen, but still, that's a pretty neutral month. Like for a whole month, 7.5, we're down 8% right now. This month, what have we done? This is what we've done, right? We've just moved sideways. It's a neutral month. Yes, we're down, but it's a neutral month. We've moved up more from the low point than we have moved down from the high point, right? I feel like it's a relatively neutral month. And yes, we're down, but just getting that into perspective, right? Each September we've seen after the halving, 2 of them were actually green but neutral. 1 was red but neutral, okay? So this September here, after the halving, could be green, could be red, might be neutral, but based off of the analysis, besides this segment of the video, based off the analysis we've given before, it could be the month that we actually see new all-time highs. This next month, in a very short amount of time, could be the time that we do see new all-time highs. That doesn't mean that we're going to be at $100,000 by next month, but it does mean that we could see prices above $73.5 thousand, 73.3, whatever the high is, 73.757. So above there, maybe 74K or higher by the end of September. That doesn't mean it has to happen in the beginning of September. We could go down first and then go up. We could go up and then down and then up. We might have a neutral month, but again, there's several things suggesting that it could be a neutral month. There's several things suggesting outside of that, just strict September analysis that we could break out to new all-time highs. It's hard to say, but a lot of people are aware of September in crypto. And do it yourself. Do it yourself, right? If you have TradingView, if you don't know how, just go type in tradingview.com. You go here, you go to search, type in BTC USD index, launch chart. It will look nothing like this. You'll have a white screen. It'll look different. You won't have your indicators or maybe your volumes there. I don't know, but nonetheless, you can look at the months. Okay, go through every single September. Write it down on a piece of paper. There's going to be some that are bigger and some that are smaller than I'm, or maybe bigger than I'm saying, maybe not smaller than I'm saying, but there will be some Septembers that are not neutral months. But most Septembers are neither bullish nor bearish. They're actually very neutral. They close less than 10%, maybe even less than like 8% most of the time in either direction, up or down. But most of the crypto market, the point of this, what I'm saying here is, most people in the crypto markets, and I was saying the same thing last September, back in 2023, right? And I was calling for a neutral month in September. I remember that. You can go back and watch if you don't believe me. Oh, man. Yes, I had not gone on my 6-month hiatus at that point. So, yes, you can actually go back and watch that video. At the beginning of September, I actually did call for a neutral month based off of the same thing that I'm going off of now, right? It's no different. Most people anticipate that September is going to be a red month because statistically speaking, yes, there are more red Septembers than green Septembers, but most people overlook the actual data, the numbers, that September is really just a neutral nothing month, okay? So it's nothing to be afraid of. And the fact that most people now are addressing that it is a negative month gives me the idea, again, back to that idea that most markets are made to take most of the money from most people most of the time. If most people are assuming September is going to be a red month, and it might be a bad month, it just might be a green month, and it might be a good month. And then associated with the analysis that I gave in the beginning of the long-term segment, it would make sense that September blows up. But at the same time, if it's not in September that we get to new all-time highs, it could be October. Who cares? Instead of a 5-6 month period, it could be a 6-7 month period, whatever. It's okay. But soon. All that last little bit of the tangent that I went on right after I said, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. I'm going to end it there, but I continued it anyways. That all stemmed from this idea here that it is last call. This is the final moments, and it doesn't seem like it. And in a month from now, it might not seem like it either, because in a month from now, we'll probably not be too far away from the current price. We'll still be moving sideways, more or less. We might be higher, we might be lower, whatever. But a month in a bull cycle is a nothing, man. It's nothing. 2 months goes by, this is going to feel like a thing, and it is going to be a thing in the past, but it's going to feel like a distant memory. You're going to wish you had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin or other cryptos that you have your eyes on while Bitcoin was below $60,000. You're going to wish you could, right? Seize the opportunity while you can. I'm going to buy more crypto tomorrow. I'll let you guys know what I'm going to buy. I'll let the Discord know tonight what I'm going to buy. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content. If you want to join the Discord, you have to pay nothing. It's absolutely free. I will leave a link in the description for that as well. I got nothing else to say. So take care of yourselves. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you could keep up. I know that I dart off. I'm a bit scattered sometimes, but I try to keep it organized to the best of my abilities, if that makes sense. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like at the end of these videos, I always think that I'm less organized than I am. I'll go back and watch them. I watch my own videos, of course I do. I like to critique myself. I really do. I'm not vain, maybe a little bit, but it's more about critiquing myself and seeing how I sound. You know, what I like, what I could do better. Is there a noise? Oh man, is there? Oh, you know what it is? It's the Discord, isn't it? I haven't muted the tab. You guys probably heard the Discord going off this whole damn video. The little boo-doo. Forgot what I was on about before that. I was just looking at the sound, and it was picking up sound on my desktop. I'm like, I don't have any other things playing. I hope I didn't have anything playing throughout this whole video. That would have sucked, but it was just the Discord stuff. It's crunch time. It's crunch time, guys. I forget what I was saying at the end of it there, but it's crunch time. And this window is closing. So I'm going to end the video alongside with that closing window to buy. Oh yeah, I was talking about leaving a link in the description for the Discord. I don't remember what I was going to say, man. So instead of spending more time looking silly, I'm out. So take care. Bye-bye. See you on the next one.